Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to another shitty YouTube video on the YouTube platform. And in this shitty YouTube video, I'll be talking about the team known as Full Sense and how they qualified for Champions in Valorant. If you're unaware, Champions is the biggest tournament of the year where supposed to be the best teams in the world go to compete in one big tournament. It'll be held in Berlin this year, same as Masters 3, but it'll be held in Berlin. Full Sense qualified through the Asia Pacific tournament, last chance qualifier, I should say. And how they qualified for that is they beat out X10 points-wise in the last tournament that they played previously. In that tournament, it was the same tournament that both PaperX and Burn Esports qualified to go to Masters 3 Berlin. In that tournament, Full Sense got enough points to beat out X10 and got the Thailand representation. And they got the Thailand representation because that is where they are based out of, as well as X10 is based out of Thailand. That is how the qualifiers in the Asia Pacific last chance qualifier breaks down. Thailand got 1 spot, Japan got 3, and I believe the rest got 2, being Japan and Singapore and other southeast countries. I'm not completely sure how that breaks down, but it doesn't matter because they were eliminated. First, I'll go over the history of Full Sense. Full Sense was a team known as NG Black before Full Sense, the org, signed them. NG Black consisted of Superbus, Lammy Snacks, Cha La 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 La, Zelen, I'm not gonna say his name, and John Olsen. You heard that right. His name is known as John Olsen. That is his gamer tag name in game. They were signed by Full Sense back in February, early March in that area. And what they decided to do is they moved Zelen to a analyst role and added PTC as a additional player. His team was a Pug team that came second in Masters 1 qualifier out of Thailand. He was a jet main at the time. He played a little bit of Raze, and that is what they added. Then they added Ton Grak as a coach. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Well, as you can see on the screen, they were basically X10's little bitch for a little time. They were constantly becoming 2nd, 3rd, 4th in Thailand, and then when they would escape Thailand, they're getting 5th to 8th, 3rd to 4th. And then when they finally X10 and Padapen kind of stepped down with his wrist issues, they kind of emerged a little bit. And only recently, when they made their little comp switches between different roles, they've been playing a lot better. It was a pretty drastic improvement overall. And then NG Black, back when they were playing, they're kind of but Full Sense saw some potential in them, picked them up and added PTC, and now they're qualified for Champions, so can't say anything wrong there. Alright, I'm going to break down the traits of each individual player. I'm going to start with Lammy Snacks. Lammy Snacks, as I said, plays the Sova and Sky. He plays Sova mostly on Ascent, and he started out the tournament playing it on most maps, and ran into a little trouble and threw him on Sky, and when he went on the Sky, he looked a lot better. I shouldn't say a lot, he looked better. He was definitely more aggressive playing on the Sky. He would fight for different areas of the map that you really wouldn't on Sova. So in my opinion, he just looked better on Sky. They play, even after he started playing really good on Sky, they played him on Sova on mostly just Ascent, I believe, if I remember that correctly. Him in a nutshell, he has pretty decent utility usage on both agents. Definitely doesn't lack in utility usage, and he's also a good trader. He's a good person to run in 3rd or 4th, and he's going to get those trades that some other people just would not. He's very good in chaotic situations, and he clutches from time to time. Alright, next we'll move on to PTC. PTC is very flexible, as I said earlier. Literally every single map he is playing a different agent just about. But again, he's not incredible in every single agent, but that's not to say he's not incredible. He is definitely an incredible talent. He is definitely top tier in the Asia Pacific region, to say the least. His best agents are definitely KO and Raze. He plays KO only on Ascent, and he plays Raze on Bind. He plays Breach on both Haven, and for a time on Bind, he went back and forth between Raze and Breach on Bind. It looks a lot better on Raze than he did on Breach. And he also played Cypher on Split. His Cypher, utility was pretty decent. He kind of won most of the rounds on defense. It's very hard to see what he was doing. He didn't break the mold per se. He did his job. Safe to say, he did his job. Back when he was on the Pug team, however, and up until basically this tournament, he split time on Jet with. He split time on Jet with John Olsen between, and it really locked up the roles for the entire team. Now that he's starting to flex a little more, the team is opening up a little more, and you can see they started playing a little bit better. Next, move on to Cha La 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 La. I'm just going to say Cha because I don't want to sing La 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 La. So he, again, is mostly the site anchor, and he'll play as Killjoy and Cypher. Being a site anchor, you really don't get the love as a fragger mostly, but Cha, he's pretty good on the site anchor. He's definitely up there in the scene as a site anchor. He gets what he's supposed to. He's getting 1, if not 2, if you're hitting his site, which you can't ask much more from a site anchor. He also picks up the Viper on some maps. Next, move on to John Olsen. As I said previously, he is a Jet player. Now that PTC is flexing over to other agents and John Olsen is the primary Jet player, he's playing Jet 100% of the time. That being said, he is a very streaky Jet player. He's either popping off or he is a disappearing act when it counts. That being said, he is very good while opping, but tends to get out opt when a better Jet decides to buy an op, and he also gets out marshaled when he's out, when they're both marshaling. But that's not, he didn't really face too many Jet players that were of his level. He mostly got fought by 2 Jet players, those being Samurai D and Solom Dam. Those 2 players got his number quite a bit, but towards the end, they played Soldam twice, once in the upper finals and then secondly in the grand finals. The upper finals, Soldam got him pretty good, but once John Olsen got settled in the grand final, they started locking down Soldam as a team quite often. He's very good at reactions when people are pushing him and that stuff like that. Just the quick second decisions tends to be really good at. Same for PTC. Those 2 players are definitely the 2 best players on full sets. Lastly, move on to Superbus, I should say. He plays controller, plays Astra, and very occasionally plays Viper. When they go for a comp that has less flashes, like for example when Lammy Snacks is playing Sova instead of Sky, he tends to be much more aggressive on the extremities for whatever reason. Like mostly I'm thinking of Ascent and Bind because those are the 2 maps they played the most throughout their qualification run. And he'll either just push showers, even when they play Sky, or when they play Sky on the map, he still places showers, but not nearly as much. And then on Ascent, he will be in Wine a great majority of the rounds, and if there's no presence outside, he will walk up to the close corner next to the wooden box and the tricycle jump. He'll walk up to that close corner and sit in that. I saw that once or twice. He didn't do that quite as often. He'll either rotate or he'll continue to sit in line. He doesn't really go for that push, but he got caught out quite a bit trying to transition into those aggressive angles in both shower and wine on their respective maps. He definitely gets caught out a good bit. That being said, his utility is well above. No, I shouldn't say. His utility usage is definitely above average. Definitely well above average for the scene that he's in, but I'm talking about in general, his utility is above average on the usual. Next, move on to their maps pool. Their best maps are Ascent, Haven, and Bind. I want to say their split looked pretty good, and their Icebox is their permaban, but when they play it in the grand finals, they look pretty good. But that was mostly just a frag map. Like both teams, they really didn't bring new strategic input into Icebox. They kind of just try to out lurk each other and click on heads, so it's kind of hard to tell if they're really good at Icebox. We only saw Split and Breeze both once throughout their qualification run as well, so it's kind of hard to tell. So by default, I'm assigning it Ascent first, Haven second, Bind third. And again, we didn't see Fracture, so we have no idea how good they are at Fracture. And by far, Ascent is their best map. They look extremely good playing the KO on Ascent. PTC's KO is definitely elite tier. It's really good. He finds very good timings with the knives when he throws them, and he also uses them in the early part of the round to tag people, and you'll get information off of it. And he also has lineups from just about anywhere in the map. I saw one time he was in B site and threw it all the way to like A main. It was crazy. Like, get some crazy lineups. He also has lineups for the molly or the grenade, whatever you want to call it. I consider it a molly. It might as well be a molly. It's like a molly grenade. And this flashes, he mostly right clicks them. I didn't see an immense amount of lineups, but that really doesn't matter too much. And then on Haven, they were, I don't want to say good, they were decent at rotating and manipulating rotates on attack. But they use the breach utility on defense to basically just full retake a site. And they'll retake B because they can get all of B into the breach ult, because they made it a freaking blob of an ult, so that's always good. In their bind, they were freaking the clown car meme, where people just they're constantly switching up comps. You'd have no idea who's coming out of the car when they roll into bind. They could literally be playing anything and everything but coming on bind. In my opinion, their best look was when Lammy was playing Sky, Chalalala was playing the Sage, PTC was playing on the Raze, John Olsen obviously playing the Jet, and Superbus playing the Astra. That was their best look for bind. They would but then they played that comp twice and they moved their Sage and made it like a float, and then the team they were playing was hitting A lot, so then they just started playing Shower. I don't know. And they got kind of ran over. Alright, in this segment, I'm going to wrap up my general thoughts in this very bland and honestly pretty stupid looking rating meter. And I'm going to just wrap all my opinions into one little thing. I'm going to go down the list. First, I'm going to start with players, and I'm going to give a team as a whole rating. Lammy Snacks, in my opinion, his rating is going to be average. And this is a rating based on the global level. In the scene, I believe he is above average, but if I'm going to give him a global rating and compare him to the best of the best, I think he is average. The reason I think he's average is because I don't think he's proactive enough on his own. He only really pushes with his flashes if he has John Olsen there to basically get the kill for him. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing, I just think he should do that more often on his own, or peek and go for a kill off the flash more often. He usually just did it for information. At the top level, you get to be more independent, can't really be more of an IGL's puppet. You have to be able to think for yourself and react on your own. But that being said, when he's trading, he looks very well because he's reacting to the situation. That's why I think he is average. Next, I'll move on to PTC. PTC, in my opinion, he is above average, if not well above average. I'm not going to give him the well above average, I'm going to give him the above average just because his breach really doesn't impress me that much, but I think that's just breach as an agent. It's very hard to... He's just a very clunky agent. You have to be very specific and precise with all your utility. You can't really be on the move, on the active like you can with Sky or any other agent that he plays. That being said, I think KO's the same way, but he makes KO look very fluid, so I'm gonna give him above average. I think his gunplay is very good. His raise looks really good. His raise ulting is actually very good. Usually you don't see many good ults. Usually you see people rosing it and throwing it into the abyss, whiffing it, yeeting it, whatever you want to say. But he looks really good. And he also, now that he's getting basically swallowing up all the roles, he's freeing up his team to play other roles that they're good at instead of having to pick up other roles. And he's a very good player. So I'm going to give him above average. Cha-la-la-la. He does what is asked of him of the team. He's the side anchor. You can't really do more in his role. So I'm going to give him the average role. He's not... I mean, he can't really do much better. If you're stuck in the side anchor role, I don't know, it's hard to shine and be glamorous in that role. But that being said, he's definitely one of the better side anchors in Southeast Asia, so he looked very good on Cypher and Killjoy. When he plays Viper, he looks a little off, but I think he just doesn't play Viper that much. They swap around the Viper role a lot. They actually don't even really play maps that have Viper that often. They play Bind the most, and then they drop Viper in like the first 2 days. They dropped her completely and just moved on to a different set comp. So it was alright. He also played Sage on Bind and Split. He didn't really impress me a whole lot playing. He was more of like the free man on Split where you rotate him around, and PTC was more of the set anchor. So he didn't really impress me too much on Split. He didn't look bad per se, but he didn't wow me with his mechanics and rifling. He was definitely average. Next we go on to John Olsen. I'm going to give him above average. I would give him well above average if he was super consistent throughout all of his maps, but again, he's a living roller coaster. He is highs of highs and lows of lows. That being said, his lows are not trash tier. His lows are probably below average. They're serviceable in given moments, but you can't be that if you're the star player on the team. If you look at any other top roster, they have one of the best Jets in the world, mostly because Jet is a broken agent and you need a person that can break it to its fullest. Basically, you need to have a Jet that can push the line and get kills on a line that is already so far forward that shouldn't really be that far forward, but whatever, it's another video. But they need to extend that line even further, push the edges of the agent, and he just disappears sometimes. I gotta give him the only above average. That being said, when he's on, he can take over a map, so I think he's pretty good. Next, move on to Superbus. Mechanically and gunplay wise, I think he is below average. That being said, I think his util is above average, so I'm going to give him a very modest average rating. I would give him above average as a whole, but he gets caught out on the extremities. In a half that is 12 rounds, he got caught out at least 3 times. You can't really have that if you're trying to be even a dark horse or a favorite in the tournament. You can't do that necessarily. That's why I think they're more of an upset team overall, and that's why Superbus is going to get an average rating. Now I'm gonna give my rating as a whole of the team. I think they are a below average team. That being said, I do think they have upset potential. Again, you have to keep this in mind. This is a global scale rating. In their region, they are above average, if not well above average. Keep that in mind. But if we're going on a global scale, I'm comparing them to teams like Sentinels in their prime, Fnatic in their prime, Gambit in their prime. I'm holding, if that is the elite teams, I am comparing them to that. Those are elite, keep that in mind. And this is my rating in my head. Again, you can tell me to fuck off. I don't care. But this is what I think. I think they are below average, and they have upset potential if all of their shots are hitting and all that kind of stuff. The reason I'm giving them below average is because the macro scale strategic play is not really there. They'll default, but once they transition to a site, there's not much adaptability from there. It's site hit or a lost round at that point, and they're saving. There's not much faking, and if there is a fake, it's with one player and the throwing utility, and the rest of the 4 are sprinting another site. So I feel like a lot of the top teams are just going to pick apart their defaults and then just basically kill them going into sites, and they're going to have a lot of man down situations going into big tournament play. So overall, they're getting a below average rating. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. If not, cool. But I still hope you have a nice day. And yeah, see you later.